It is now 85 seconds to midnight. 85 seconds to midnight. "85 seconds to midnight.
On foot.
85 seconds to midnight.
Yes, we're back. Preppers Fireside. This is technically season 3, episode 1. All new fancy graphics, same bunch of idiots. So nothing's changed on the format. Just a couple of intros and outros changed and a new logo. So hopefully you like that. The rest of it, I'm not responsible for, as we say. So let's get the disclaimer up there before we go any further. Bombardier Andy has joined us again. How you doing, Andy?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
I'm good. It's good to have you back with us.
Thank you very much.
And we've got Alan, the world survivalist. How you doing, Alan? How many cans in are we tonight?
It's just a single bottle tonight. It's a one bottle podcast, this, I feel. You know?
Right. So French, you're welcome tonight. Please get in, French people. You're okay. You're safe. And Brian, the Scottish prepper. Are you safe? Do you need a hard hat? Is there any lights above you we should be concerned about?
Well, there's a plastic bag there. Now that you mention it, I'm going to move that in case I suffocate myself. The way things are going.
I like how I get the accident-prone, stereotype, and it's Brian that keeps killing himself with lights on lives and stuff.
They're staged though. That's so that other people get saved the pain.
All right, that's okay.
Have you noticed it only hits me in the head because there's nothing to damage in there?
Next live, he's going to have the hard hat on. We get this special hard hat for him. And we've got also lots of people in the chat already. Great to see you all in here. Good to see so many green names and stuff like that. And our awesome moderators, Miss Worm's in there, Purple's in there. I believe Rift is going to be heading in at some point this evening as well. He's the big security guy. So Miss Worm points and he drags you out like the gorilla. So just be warned, be safe. Don't say anything that will piss YouTube off or piss off our moderators, and you'll be fine. With that said, subject is fuel, because it's on topic, right? The rising price of fuel at the moment. Before we get into the speculation and the what would we do if side of things, let's just talk about the current events of it. What's it like near you, Andy? Fuel prices, what have you seen over the last few weeks? Is it shot up there as well?
Yeah, so it's probably went up, probably on average, mate, 10 pence.
Yeah, about same here at the moment.
And so this morning, mate, at Tesco, because with it being Mother's Day, went back to see Leanne's mum today. And so up here, mate, in Newcastle, it was 139, almost 140. But down in Bishop Auckland, mate, it was 133.
Right.
So because we were travelling back, we just wait till we got back to Bishop Auckland and filled up there.
Yeah, it's starting to get to that point where it's suddenly worth it to look for the cheaper ones, isn't it? When it's not definitely a couple of pence difference. I think I'm seeing even bigger rises than that round here, to be honest. I think the cheapest I saw was 140, and it was 160 for my diesel today, and that was from a supermarket, not from a service, motorway services or anything like that. So it's a bit mental. Brian, you don't have that problem, right? You're battery powered.
I'm not direct. Well, the generator's not. So I bought a few jerry cans of fuel, shall we say, the other week.
Brian fits a diesel heater the week that diesel goes through the fucking roof.
But I managed to get some before the prices went too crazy, and I added the safe legal limit of petrol fuel that I could safely store at home in suitable containers as well. So I'm not noticing queues. I'm not noticing people losing their minds over fuel, but I think that'll change because it's not going to stop.
I mean, it was busy today. I went topped up at Sainsbury's because she's taking my lad home tomorrow, so we're going to pretty much use a full tank. But I topped up at Sainsbury's, and it was a good 5-minute wait in a queue, and that was 6 lanes of pumps. So Mad. What's it like near you, Alan?
Well, I've not seen the fuel price today, the petrol station I normally go. The cheapest petrol station I go is an Asda, and it's going up at a rate of about a penny a day by the looks of it. I put a couple of pictures on the Discord. The other day it was up at £1.37.9. That's the cheapest petrol station I can find, like, in my whole area. The BP in the same town is 145.8. I noticed that earlier. The BP is always more expensive than the Asda. I think they've got better fuel anyway, but there's no queues or nothing yet. But if we go by historical sort of how the UK has been in the past, the panic buying will start by this week. That's when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just looking at sort of like historical past events, the 2000 fuel crisis being the main one.
Yeah, and it's more of an impact on the oil now than it was for the 2000 one. So it could be even worse. I think Maxi Max became a member of your channel, Brian. Yeah.
Welcome to the Madhouse.
There you go. Join Brian's channel. It's cheaper, but get what you pay for is what I say.
Exactly. Thank you, Mike.
I tell you what, see that 2000 fuel crisis, because I was reading about it earlier preparing for this podcast. Apparently the UK was only a week away, 6 days away from widespread economic collapse. And Britain's never ran out of fuel, but see, just because it was at the point where there was so much issues around it and panic buying and protests and stuff, apparently we were only 6 days away. And this time round, it could be potentially much worse.
With less refining capacity for a start.
Yeah, this is it. This is a very real threat all of a sudden, is it? It's not just fuel, though, right? It's gas as well. I think I had the stats up before, which the
fertilizer ever.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure gas has gone up 50% for the natural gas resources and stuff like that as well recently, as well as crude oil going up.
It's the people that get. You know those people that get fuel delivered to their house?
Oh, the heating oil, yeah.
Yeah, the heating oil. I tell you what, like there was a guy on the radio the other day saying that it's £400 for him normally to get his thing filled up, and it's done automatically. He paid for it. He paid for the delivery, and was expecting it in the next couple of days. And then he checked the fuel price again, and it then said £800 went up 100%. You know what I mean? And whoever he buys the oil off, he was just like, well, yeah, that's the price. It's like, how can it be the price? The oil is still in the country. That's not oil. That's not oil from overseas. You've literally just doubled the price.
It's profiteering.
He actually said, but I've already paid for it. I've paid for that oil. So even if you put it up now, that's not my problem. Like, no, we've changed it. And there was reports of people actually getting their oil filled up like automatically, and then getting the bill. Not realizing that it just went up a massive amount. So that needs investigated. Like the government needs to do something.
They're cancelling deliveries. See your guy that you're talking about there. There's been widespread reports of people that had contracts, dates, agreed prices, getting the fuel delivery cancelled, and then saying we'll still deliver it, but we can't tell you how much it's going to be until after we've filled it. That's like buying a house, and you don't know the price till you get the keys.
Mm. To be fair, it's the same as getting a power bank off Mike. You don't know what it's going to be charged.
How long have you been saving these up, Andy? Is this going to be?
You know what, mate? Last week, the one you did last week, there was you said that. What did you say? You said that Putin had spotted all Brian's power banks, so
you're right, and he was a target.
Threat. Yeah, and I was going to say to you, is that why you keep yours empty so Putin doesn't think you're a threat?
Yeah, but you were itching at the screen, weren't you? All my power banks are charged right now. I'll have you know. Now that I've not got a power bank parked on my drive, I've got to rely on them more. So, anyway, on topic with this. So, shortage could be much worse. Collapse in 6 days, potentially. Like Alan said, there's all sorts of scary things around this. But the most immediate high stakes concern isn't travel, isn't filling up your car to get to work. It's hunger. It's agriculture. It's just-in-time delivery systems. It's the food chain. It's everything like that. And that's what causes that social collapse more than anything else. Hungry people are scared, afraid, and irrational people, right?
But they're hiding it.
Yeah, but surely they'll cut off us before they have to, and still give the logistics fuel before they have to actually cut everyone off.
Of course they will. Of course they will. But we're not there yet. And even if they are, we won't find out until the minute that happens, because
Cause a panic.
they dumped. Yeah, it'll cause a panic. But they dumped the largest ever quantity of oil into the open market last week to arrest the increase in price per barrel. It made not a jot of difference. It dipped briefly and then it shot straight back up again.
Is this when they're releasing the strategic reserve?
Yeah.
We only have 30 million barrels in that strategic reserve. And if you calculate that we use 1.5 million on average per day of refined oils like jet fuel, diesel, petrol, we've got 20 days maximum. So if we're already releasing that now, we could be on a countdown.
And then the reason that the markets haven't taken a complete shit is the mixed messages coming out from the US. On one hand, they're saying, he's going on the TV and saying, everything's sunshine and lollipops, we're nearly finished. A week and a half later, he's telling the British government, keep your carriers, we don't need any help when the war's won. Now, this week, it's allies, friends. Now we've kicked the anthill over. We need boats for everybody so we can start doing convoys because we've not got enough assets in theatre. And in between that, the Iranians are zapping everything that's moving. That doesn't seem like a conflict that's going to be over in the next 5 minutes, 5 days, or 5 weeks.
Yeah, this is a scary thing. People are starting to realize that as well. So he says something, the markets like pick up again a bit, but as soon as it's like, hang on, obviously this is not the case, it soon drops again. Grumpy Adventures, has propane and butane gone up yet? Not sure. But just in case, I think me and Brian ordered the same ones, the gas for the camping stoves.
Yeah.
You get like 28 of them on Amazon. I gave Miss Worm the link. She might post it for you, but it's a bulk buy of 28 of them. They've still not gone up in price, so get them now.
They're not expensive too. It's about 30 quid or something, 35 quid.
It's like 27 or 28 quid. It works out almost £1, less than £1 a can. So
cheap as.
Yeah, for now. For now. When do you think we'll see that kind of price knock on, though, Andy? Do you think the food prices, are we going to see the same sort of thing we talked about with the oil, where people are going to put the prices up before they even have to profiteer in that small gap?
I think any opportunity they'll get, mate, they'll whack prices up to make more money. Even like you guys said there, like Alan just said there, they've already bought that oil at a low price. And they're whacking it up already. So any opportunity they can get, mate, they will whack price up to make more profit. Because I mean, to be fair, mate, if you were, because most of the money that's made on petrol, on fuel, is fuel duty, isn't it, that the government gets?
Oh yeah, massively.
If they were that worried about people, mate, and things, they could just slash it, couldn't they, if they wanted to? In theory.
Yeah. However, so this is where it's one or the other, because if you compensate and slash the prices, everyone's going to think, oh, wonderful, if they've cut the tax and fuel's going to stay the same price. But they're also worried about shortage, so the panic buying. At the moment, we're rationing through expense. So the more expensive it gets, the more naturally people will ration. Mm-hmm. You know, there's people that will put £20 in their car every week, no matter what. They don't look at the literage. They just put £20 in.
Yeah.
So it's a natural, the fact the price is going up is a natural way to ration it. And I think that's the way they'll go before they have to say, sorry, guys, no more fuel.
To be fair, mate, you're giving the government a lot of credit there to think that they've actually come up with that idea themselves.
I don't think they've come up with themselves. No, yeah, I agree that I don't think they come up with themselves. It's just what happens, right? Things get more expensive. Look at food; it's gone up 100. Some food's gone up 100% in the last year. I bet a lot of us, maybe not preppers as such, but I bet a lot of people shop less. The trolley's not quite as full as it used to be a year ago because of the price changes. So you're rationing food based on price as well.
But that happened after COVID as well, when the prices went on to the average people monthly paid would maybe get a big shop at the end of the month, That stopped and it went to a week. And then shortly after that, it went to an average of 3 days. Now people might actually be getting to the stage that they buy it on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah.
I don't think that's far away, mate.
But I mean,
Yeah, I know.
when Putin invaded Russia, when was that? Was that 2023? Was it?
22, 23? Was it? I'm sure it's
22.
3 years.
I can remember.
22,
So petrol then went up to £2 a litre.
yeah.
And everybody
Yeah,
seems to forget that really very, very quickly, how quickly that exploded to £2 a litre.
Yeah, it was 204 and 203. I remember
Yeah.
seeing the pictures of it and stuff like that. Yeah. And yeah, so we get too used to it, right? And it's too much of a shock to us. So
Do you know the only silver cloud, if there is one out of this whole shit show? I don't know if it's by design or by accident. We're coming out of winter.
Yeah.
So we're coming out of winter. So the gas one, where it was like 70% price hike straight away, if that was at the start of winter, around about November, December, and it had lasted for 3-4 months, we would be having power cuts.
yeah. I mean, it's not to say we won't. We definitely won't, because it's not winter. I mean, the weather, we have a cold snap coming in this week, apparently, and we've seen how quickly that can happen. So yeah, it's not good. Alan, the strategic reserve being released, like we just mentioned, I think it was how many million barrels was it? It was something like
400 million, I think, wasn't it?
400 million. We had,
Yeah.
and UK was part of that, but it hasn't told us how much of a part, and we've only got 30 million in reserve.
Yeah, and like you say, it didn't do a damn thing to the markets. I checked the gold price, not the gold price, the oil price today, and it's sitting at just under $100. I think it did peak at one point at 114 or something.
115 it went to, yeah.
So it dropped slightly after when the announcement happened. Then the release happened, and then it didn't really do anything, and it's been fluctuating slightly since then. Oil companies don't like oil to go above, I think it's 130. I think that's when they start having problems. Like you'd think the more that oil was worth, the better off they'd be, but the demand for it becomes less, so it doesn't work that way. It can get too expensive. And we'll start seeing, the way we will start noticing it in our food supply is foods that take, there's a lot of mileage on it. There are pineapples and some bananas and fruits and things like that, exotic stuff, olive oils and stuff. You'll start seeing a shortage of them or a steady increase in the price to compensate for the logistical cost. Because it takes, I think from what I was reading earlier, the knock-on effect, by the time it gets to logistics, it takes about 2 weeks to get to that point. So the very first thing you see is the price hike at the pumps, because the oil companies just take advantage of that. That's just pure greed. That's not because of a shortage.
And you see it at the shells before you see it at the supermarkets. So the Shell and like the Total and stuff like that, they do it first.
Yeah, because the logistics companies aren't paying at the pump generally. They have bunker fuel usually. Some of them are, but the bunker fuel price is priced differently to what that is at the pump. But we'll start seeing the knock-on effect of that, and then we'll eventually start seeing a shortage in that stuff as well. And like you say, the UK will prioritize its fuel for utilities, then the emergency services, hospital generators, the military, that kind of stuff. And if we see an uptake in our military activity, well, then we're going to see more of a demand for fuel from the UK. Those ships that are leaving the UK, that ship that's leaving the UK.
It's left now, isn't it? It's set off now, isn't it?
Oh, well.
It was in the channel for 3 days, though.
In about 3 weeks, when they can muster another ship, they're going to have to fuel it up. So
the RFA ship that's based in Gibraltar, it's been sent out for training drills just now. So we can't even send another warship. We're going to use a fleet auxiliary vessel and send that out instead. No carriers or anything.
We are seeing panic buying in other countries, by the way. It's happening in Pakistan, and there's 2 provinces in India that have got a severe fuel shortage at the moment. That's part of the knock-on effect of that. And I think at some point soon, the reason the Americans aren't rolling out boots on the ground, because I think they're going to take that little island. There's an island in Iran, near Iran, called, is it Kurg Island or something?
He mentioned it today, didn't he?
Yeah, but they're going to have to hold it. They're going to have to take it, and that means they're going to put Delta Force or Navy SEALs or somebody.
They've got a Marine Expeditionary Force of 2,500, I believe, already on the way.
I think we're going to see the occupation of that island, because that accounts for 90% of the crude oil exports in Iran, and that will cripple them, completely cripple them. But I don't know how they'll hold that. I don't know how, that seems like a bloody nightmare scenario. But Trump's a bit of a wild man.
Wasn't me. It was Sleepy Joe's war. He made me put the troops there. It's all his fault.
Andy, we mentioned the ships going out and stuff like that. Is it a testament to how unready we are, how long it took us to get that ship out?
Yeah, and we've got nothing else. So
that's one of our only anti-missile things as well, right?
Yeah. So technically we have 4. One is, obviously you've got the one that's on its way to Cyprus now, and the other one, mate, or the other 3, mate, are in extended periods of extended maintenance. So the only one that we did have is on its way to Cyprus, which I'm surprised it went. I'm surprised it went, to be honest with you.
We're
shocking.
Oh yeah, massively, mate, massively.
I wonder if those ships, it's kind of like how the Trident submarines, when they're in port, they can still launch from there, so they're still kind of protecting the area. I know those Type 45s have got like a radar system that's a couple hundred, 200 or 300 miles out.
Samson.
Even if they're in dry dock, theoretically they could still defend 200 or 300 miles out. I'm assuming. I don't know if that's the case.
They could do, mate.
Power.
They could do, mate, but there's no ammo on them. They've got no ammo on them, so they're just sat there. So you're right, Al. They could do if there was anything on them, but there's no ammo on them. So you could just hit them if you wanted to.
It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing state of affairs, that. And I mean, did you see the French?
Yeah.
Son of a group. You know what I mean? They did that purely out of spite, purely out of look at us standing on an aircraft carrier. You know what I mean? The British can't do it, so we'll do it type thing. That should be a kick up the arse to the UK to just sort that out. That's pathetic. We need to
it's a strange boat, though.
We need to start ruling the waves a bit more. Build a bloody armada. Start sending ships to the Straits and protecting our interests, because that's what we should be doing. We've been relying on the US so much. It's weak and pathetic.
With
the only impressive armada. Sorry, Mike.
I was just going to say, with this government, you've no chance. Carry on.
The only impressive armada you see is crossing the English Channel every fucking day, and they're all British boats.
I mean, they're not even that you haven't. So even the Americans, mate, with that Patriot missile system they're using to take down the drones. So Raytheon, mate, can only make 600 of those missiles a year, of those Patriot ones. They've just upped it and said, starting from this year, they can potentially knock out 2,000 a year. But if you think about, mate, for the past 3 years, they've only been making 600 a year. How many of them do you think they've got left?
Can't be many.
Exactly, mate. So they're
exactly.
So they're in a precarious position as well, mate. We're taking these drones out, and I guarantee you, mate, Iran's got more than 1,800 drones.
Yeah, Iran will just be digging in, just now waiting for it to be over.
Yeah,
that's the sensible thing to do.
Yeah,
because every time they send something for a launcher, the launcher gets targeted because they can see it, and then they hit it. So if I was them, I would just everything I've got on the ground, just leave it there. Wait, the Americans eventually will leave. Trump will probably just say, "Oh, mission complete. It was a big success," and then literally leave. Then the Iranians have got all the time in the world to start their, sending what they've got left to all the neighboring Gulf countries in order to cripple the oil supply further.
To be fair, mate, I think the instant he puts US Marines on that island, and a couple of those Marines end up dying, mate, that's going to be the end of Trump. Political wise, yeah, because there is no way. The only thing, mate, that the Americans hate more than anything is their lads dying in a foreign war. They hate it, absolutely cannot stand it. And he's to be fair, mate, he got away with the 4 servicemen who died at the beginning of when this conflict started. He was lucky to get away with that, especially the way he addressed it in the White House. Didn't even acknowledge the lads until I think it was the 5th point he made. So the instant you have 2,500 Marines on that, politically, mate, it would be suicide for him. I personally think, because the instant you have US Marines, mate, dying en masse on that island, he's not going to. I don't know who would support him then. To be fair, mate, even when you've got
difficult one because I know nobody wants to see their own boys dying and stuff like that. But on the other hand, historically, a wartime leader is a lot more popular because it stirs up patriotism and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
true, mate.
Trump ran on a ticket of never doing it, though, didn't he?
Yeah, and the thing is of that as well is, mate, he said that he took out the nuclear deterrent, didn't he? He said
Last
he did
year.
that, without losing anyone. And the whole difference with a wartime leader always do well. That is because, mate, by and large, America have been attacked, haven't they?
Yeah.
So 9/11, Bush did well because they were attacked. Then he went to Afghan, etc., etc. Iran, mate.
It wasn't until Pearl Harbor to decide.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, in World War II, yeah. Nobody from Iran has attacked. I know we always say, don't we, about the USS Cole and we say about those things, but Americans on the ground, like Native Americans, haven't had anything to do with Iran for them to get fired up to say, yeah, we want to see 2,500 US Marines on Karg Island.
I look for
But nobody's talking about Epstein.
Well, I look for my tinfoil hat. Would that not say Black Swan event kind of thing? Would it not say? Do you not think it'll be a fake attack on the USA to justify that?
I don't even think you need to do that, because if you look at the battery sizes on the warships, we're talking about maybe 50, 60 vertical launchers. Vary by boat, right? But your magazine's going to have a finite capacity, and we're shooting a bullet with a bullet. But that's in the days of the Cold War, where it would be big missile hit with other big expensive missile, everybody goes home for tea and crumpet. That day's over. Ukraine has seen a sea change in modern warfare from cheap, shitty 50 grand drones taking out warships. That's why the Russian Black Sea Fleet returned to port. It never sorted again. It keeps getting zapped. Now, Iran's been watching this. Russia's experienced it. And the Chinese are clapping their hands together and feeding satellite data. It's a fool's errand to try and do convoy duties when you've got a finite amount of missiles and they've got cheap, producible drones that can whittle down. What if they just keep doing drone swarms, expend the magazines and the ships? Where do they go to resupply? How many resupplies have they got? And what replaces the ships that are getting resupplied unless they resupply them in theatre whilst under fire? At some point, they're going to get hit. And every vessel that gets hit weakens the area defences.
Yeah.
I don't think it would take much to see them go home.
You can't win a war.
Breaking news. Welsh preppers in a hotel. It's just like when he served. Sorry,
It can't be. There's no butler.
Carry on, Alan.
I was just saying, I mean, they're doing it as an air campaign, and there's no possible way that you can win a sustained war from the air. You need to actually have people on the ground to take these sites out, and Trump's already saying that's not going to happen. They're not going to have a proper, it's not going to be like Iraq and Afghanistan where there's troops in Iran and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like Brian says, they can just keep on ticking over with these crappy little drones, and that'll never end, because you can have all the satellite data in the world, but
without boots on the ground, it's an unwinnable war.
Yeah.
There's no way his bunker busters are getting as deep as some of these bunkers are, and they've got practically underground cities there. To defeat Iran properly, you'd need boots on the ground. There's no other way of doing it.
It's definitely will have set them back, though, as a power in the Middle East. That's for sure. And everybody's hoping that the regime there somehow gets overthrown by the completely unarmed population. That might happen. That would be an interesting turn of events. But I mean, I'm kind of in favor of what Trump did, to be honest, because Iran was an evil country, and they were doing everything possible to acquire a nuclear weapon. And Iran isn't the same as North Korea. Like I've said this before, they are suicidal. North Korea isn't suicidal. Russia isn't suicidal. Iran is, because they have an ideology that's a death cult, and for them nuking, Israel, even if it means the nuking of them in retaliation, well, that's job done as far as they're concerned. You don't want anything to do with that kind of craziness.
Yeah.
Like you said, though, mate, the whole problem with, like Alan just said there, mate, you can't have regime change from the air, because the whole problem is, as we've seen, the vacuum gets filled with the next bad person. It's whole reason why, like that's what they did in Libya. took Gaddafi out by air, and the next thing you know, some horrible factions just filled the gap, and you see the state of the country now. I mean, the only reason, I mean, like if you look Afghanistan, the only reason it was stable for 20 years was because you had quote unquote the good guys who were technically us stopping the bad guys from going to power. The instant we left, they just rolled in and it's went back to how it was before we even started. So, like Alan said, unless you have boots on the ground to take and hold positions and implement things that you want to, that's why. To be fair, mate, I think when he bombed it originally and said he took out the factory, I think a lot of people were happy about that. Yep, fine, they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. None of our lads were hurt in the process. Magic. Once I appreciate, mate, I've got a different outlook on it because I've served and I've been somewhere. The instant lads start dying on tour, the political pressure at home. To be fair, mate, I mean, I say that he's bulletproof, isn't he? Like, he just doesn't care, does he? So I'm saying the political pressure will be too much, but like you say, mate, he's bulletproof. He just doesn't care.
I mean, it seems clear that one of the tactics that he's attempting to do is they're arming the Kurds in the north in the hope that they become the boots on the ground. So Trump can still have people who are armed coming into the northern part of Iran and, you know, fighting the cause there. And then he can say, well, it's not our boots on the ground. And he always leaves the fact that regime changes like, oh, it'd be a nice to have, but it's not the priority. And he gave like 10 other priorities and reasons for going there in the first place. So he's got lots of get-outs. I don't think the war will go on more than 2 months because then it has to go to Congress. It'll stop before then, I believe, you know, because I don't think it'll even get through Congress. But if the Kurds don't manage to do that, and it's very unlikely that they are, I think, especially with the many enemies they have, including Turkey, I just don't see how anybody can overtake the Iranian regime, given that it's a completely unarmed population pretty much. But Iran is different from Afghanistan. Afghanistan was always going to be the way it is because it's always just been a complete sort of Taliban mentality, sort of run down. It's never going to change. The trying to make that a democracy was stupid, and try to build that as something in our image was ridiculous. Iran, on the other hand, 40, 50 years ago, was, you know, but it was quite close to that. And there's a lot of, not everybody in Iran's religious. It's only something like, I mean, the Persians make up 60% of the population. The Kurds, I think, are 20. Then there's a bunch of other ethnic groups. But it's actually quite, I mean, there's lots of atheists in Iran. So they're not all fanatical religious nutters. The clerics and the regime are actually the minority. They're a very small minority, but they have all the power. It only takes a minority to hold an entire country to ransom. You know, so I just don't see how they're going to do an uprising.
Just look at Westminster.
Yeah, but it's always the case. It takes the few, and that's why, you know, you need the many to do the uprising. That's why the Americans believe in the Second Amendment so much. That's the point of it. So their government can't hold them hostage. Our government holds us hostage politically. Iran literally holds their country hostage, you know, because they're the ones with all the guns.
I mean, the interesting thing about Iran at the minute is obviously you've got the IRGC, haven't you? Who like Alan said, they're like the enforcers, really, aren't they?
Yeah,
pretty much. But but it's interesting to think what the Iranian National Army, what their sole job is they control the entire border of Iran. That's their sole job. So they control who comes in and who goes out, and they're not political. Or they're not, religious at all. They're like a standalone force, pretty much. It would be interesting, mate, to see what they think of all this and where they stand and who they stand with. Would be an interesting thing, especially with them being apolitical and not religious. That would be interesting. So, like Alan said, go on.
Do you think it's possible that they could take on the IRGC?
To be fair, mate, it's the only. When I was thinking about it the other day, it's the only possible force that you've got who could do anything, because like you say, the rest of the country's unarmed, so the only potential you've got is for the National Army to go against them, with them not being anything related to them. So, but you never hear of them, do you? Like, you never hear anything
I wonder if they're more loyal to the is it Crown Prince, the title is of the guy that's in exile. I'm not sure if it's Crown Prince or King or whatever it is.
That was a long time ago, though. He left like 50 years ago. Well, it was his father. But he's been making speeches and stuff about returning and stuff like that. Maybe that's what stirs up that guard.
So I don't know. I don't know. Someone said as well, I had to have a look at this. The HMS Victory is listed as one of our 52 vessels fleet, and I've been on that. It's like 250-year-old ship kind of thing, and I've just looked there. HMS Victory, 104-gun first-rate wooden sailing ship of the line. She is still the world's oldest naval vessel, still in commission.
We're getting to a point where we'll probably send that.
What we need is 300 reenactors to report to.
A couple of big cannons on the side to protect,
Well, it's got all the cannons, it's got all the rifles, it's got the spindles with the Navy Colt type revolvers and stuff like that in case they get boarded. It's fully armed. Is
that the ship that's parked up in Dundee?
Portsmouth.
There's a ship in Dundee that's pretty old as well. I thought that was maybe it, but
Oh, the Victory's in Portsmouth. I think the other one down there is the Warrior, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that's mad. Can you imagine? Well, that's what we get down to. We're sending our only working ship to potentially get sunk in the Strait of Hormuz. The next one we send is the HMS Victory. We may as well just all put red fucking coats on.
But it's going to boil down to timescales and history. And
it's definitely going to boil down to history if they're sailing that out.
If we said that. But if you look at the lessons that should have been learned over the last 20 years, you don't need to win, you just need to outlast. So Iraq, all you had to do was outlast, because the Western forces eventually will leave. There's no appetite for a protracted conflict. Although Afghan was a long time, Iraq, there's still troops there, but not in huge numbers and not coming home in body bags, which doesn't make for good evening time dinner TV.
But it's like Afghan though. Iran's very much like that, where they'll all just go underground. You'd have to have boots on the ground, and they'd be constantly under threat. There'd be IEDs everywhere.
That's not going to happen. But we're talking about the Kurds coming in from the north, right? Well, here's the other life lesson that should be learned well. When everybody was promised support when Iraq happened, and they never got support, and they got chemical weapons dropped on them. When the Northern Alliance went into Afghan, and then everybody cut and run and left them and their families, and everybody else was getting murdered. Where is the life lesson here for people to actually give you support? Because they will know at some point, we're just going to leave, and you've still got to live there. So I think it's going to boil down to survival and choices, and the lesser of the two evils is to dig a big hole and hope it all goes away.
Pete Hegseth is already saying that they're talking about an exit plan. He's already hinting at it, So it's going to happen. They're literally just going to bloody leave one day and say, "Yep, job done, we won." That is what's going to happen. Trump will lose interest.
Then take Greenland. Right. In the meantime, let's talk fuel. That's the topic, not war. 260 people in here. I really appreciate it. Whichever stream you're watching on, it's streaming to all the channels, World Survivalist, Scottish Prepper 73, and The Bombardier. Make sure you've hit like, make sure you subscribe to that channel, and take the time to go and subscribe to all the other ones. So how long do you think we have? I'll open it up. Anyone can jump in and answer. How long do you think we have currently before they have to start thinking about saving the fuel for emergency services and stuff like that? We're already burning through our military allowance for fuel, because if anybody watches Flight Radar like I do, the RAF are very busy in the last 3 or 4 weeks just on training alone. So how long do you think we have? Anyone like to hazard?
3 weeks.
I think it's a bit more than that.
I think it would be 3 weeks before you see choices being forced on you. But there's so many variables in that. You would have to see a lot more tankers and infrastructure. If you see long-term changes happening, as in refineries getting hit that are going to take months, if not years of reconstruction, those big changes will have big effects on our side of the pond. So if we see more of those, then the timescale will change. If we don't see more of those, then it'll be weeks, if ever, in my humble opinion.
We've already had some of those, though, right? We're already saying that the production's going to be 100 million barrels less with what's already been hit. So
Yeah, but to an extent, all that's doing is pushing up prices on the market, making the market volatile, and the traders nervous, which will have an effect on inflation.
Sorry, I found I knew I had the numbers somewhere. The International Energy Agency estimates that the production is being curtailed by as much as 10 million barrels a day due to the damage to infrastructure and shipping blockages so far. So,
but they could also, well, look at it this way: is the devil of the hour, Mr. Putin, is now allowed to sell his oil in the open market. So
he's just loving it. He's loving it.
It's farcical. The whole thing is just nonsense.
I bet Ukraine's absolutely fuming at that. It's just been announced and skirted over since, right? Nobody said much else, but yeah, they've just took the gloves off there.
What do you say? But we just need to get through it, like here as well. But we don't know what's going to happen. So you're kind of planning for the worst and hoping for the best.
Exactly. So how do we plan for the worst? So bar putting fuel, filling up all the tanks you've got and a couple of jerry cans, Alan, what else can we do? Sit, wait and hope? What can we do thinking about a time where they've stopped us having fuel?
I mean, it's one of these things where it's out of our control. There's nothing we can do to control what's inevitably happening. I don't know the exact timescales of anything. Before I came on this podcast, I took a quick look at past events, and I was focusing on the crisis that took place back in 2000 because that had a timeline, and there's no reason I don't think it would be much different from that. According to that timeline, I've got it written here. It was within the first 1 to 2 weeks that we started seeing the fuel prices spike. That happens literally overnight. We've seen that because the fuel the petrol pumps are just cashing in. Panic buying happens in sort of week 2, week 3, and then we start seeing a shortage at certain storage stations and things like that. After between 3 and 6 weeks, then you start seeing the freight costs surge because then the bunker fuel starts getting affected. They've got a lot more reserves than the average petrol station, stuff like that. So then you start seeing deliveries slowing down, supermarkets start reducing the variety of exotic things that have a lot of mileage on them and stuff like that, things that need to get flown in or taken on tankers. You start seeing a reduction in that. And then in 2000, it was only at the 2-month mark or between the 2 and the 3-month mark that you started seeing serious manufacturing disruption with production, manufacturing, proper food price inflation. Food price inflation happens after all of that stuff. And then you started seeing government rationing taking place after that. And like I say, we were apparently only 6 days away from complete economic collapse almost. And, that's why the government made all the deals and stuff that it had to make because it knew that. So going by that timeline, that means you've got 3 months, in total. And we're already, into week 2 now, really, maybe week 3.
But we had more local production at that point and a local refinery, which we don't have anymore. So there's been some changes between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, the only refinery in Scotland is mothballed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kaput as well.
The ability to infill locally with our own resources has been curtailed. The ability to refine locally has been curtailed. Drawn heavily from Russia has been stopped, albeit they're now going to start buying oil and not sanction it. Even if that happens, there'll be people who refuse to buy it. And that's going to take time to ship. There's no big overnight fixes here, but there's overnight problems.
But it takes a long time for there to be an actual fuel shortage. We're not short of fuel.
Yeah.
The reason we're having these problems is because fuel is globally priced. There's plenty. We still have lots of reserves in the North Sea. You just have to get it out of the ground. But we have the countries like Norway.
Get it out of the ground, refine it, make it into usable fuel. It's a huge process.
but Norway, we get a lot of fuel and stuff from Norway, and you can get stuff from the US. We don't get a lot of fuel from the Gulf, the UK. I can't remember the exact figure again, but it's
something like 6% for gas. It's not a lot. But what we are subject to is the market predation.
The market's a problem.
Yes.
But, and again, this is not just us. This is going to affect every country. So the countries we buy fuel off, we're not going to have as much to sell
It's the
themselves.
instability.
We're
It's
creating a shortage with the start of panic buying already.
Yeah, it's
Don't
the domino
forget, though,
effect.
you've got ships that are full of oil just now that will be actively getting turned around and sent to somebody that's prepared to pay more money. That is a thing. That happened before, and that will happen again.
And we won't. And we won't.
If only we had some sort of oil resources of our own. If only there was a way that this could have been, less of a problem for us.
Yeah. Andy, no fuel. All gone. Cut off. Pumps are empty. No customers, please. How does that affect your life, your prepping, what you're doing now? And what would you put in place for that?
I was thinking about this the other day, mate, when I watched that one you did last week. And up until this happens, we are preppers, aren't we? As soon as SHTF happens, or as soon as this happens, then you have to go over to Alan's mindset, because once something happens, you're then a survivalist. You're not a prepper anymore. All the stuff you've learned up to that point makes you a prepper, but once you cross over that threshold, then you're a survivalist. For one of the, you know what I mean? Then things have to be put into place. So as soon as that does happen, mate, I appreciate I'm more extreme than most in that sense. But everything as soon as happen, mate, I don't store fuel, mate, anyway. I've got no fuel, I've got no generator, I've got anything like that. But everything from that place, mate, would be put onto ration basis. It would just have to be. Like I say, mate, the mindset from prepper to survivalist has to occur as soon as that happens. Because as soon as the lights go off effectively, how are you going to prep? Your prep time's gone.
No, yeah, prepping time's over.
So, so you'd have to then implement the plan that you have in place that you've already done. So you would have to get the power banks out if you have them, get the candles out, your blackout box. You would then start. Yeah, you would do it. Yeah. Well, you'd be screwed. But yeah, so you would do it. Like I said, and everybody's plan will be different. Everybody's plan will be different, judging on experience, what preps you do have, power you have at hand. If you do have generators, well, whatever you have, everybody's plan's going to be different, and at what level you implement that plan is depending on how hard you want to go. If for example, if you think this shortage is only going to last a month, and you're willing to use your preps more, then that's your choice to make. It's then, if I did that, mate, then in a month's time and the crisis is still going on, it's future Andy's problem, isn't it, effectively? So,
fuck you, future Andy.
For me,
I'm gonna live like a king.
yeah. So for me, mate, if I was implementing my plan, I would always go on the extreme of stuff. So everything would be extremely rationed up until the point of you came out the other side. And if things do go back to normal, or if things did go back normally, you could go back to and start resetting yourself. But I would go worst case scenario personally, but I appreciate everyone's different to me.
Yeah, because I think even preppers will have a level of normalcy bias, right? That in that first week where they've had to start tapping into preps, they'll be like, yeah, they'll get it sorted. It'll only be a couple of weeks. So they'll probably have that initial normalcy bias period where for a week they're just like, yeah, we'll have this, we'll eat this, we'll do this, I'll try this recipe, etc. And then it's after that week or two, they're like, maybe we should think about rationing a bit more. Do
you know what you want to watch for? Hauliers going bankrupt. Transport companies who are on very, very tight margins for moving your goods throughout the country from point A to point B. They're going to be hit directly right now with existing contracts running at a fixed price. So you'll see them going to the wall. When you see transport companies going down the tubes, that's when worry. That'll be a big clue right there.
The travel industry is already starting to get hit. The Philippines Airlines has just collapsed. There's at least 4 smaller travel companies based in the UK that have shut down over the last 3 weeks. One of them was Gold Crest Holidays. Anyone who's ever done one of their trips to Disneyland and stuff like that, that's gone now as well. All these things are already starting to happen for the travel. Guess what my job's in? The travel industry. Excellent. Mike's luck. You knew that was going to collapse first because I worked in it.
Guess it's back to pole dancing for you.
It is.
No, don't say that. Then they'll close all those down, Brian. We'll have nowhere to
go. I've never been in these places, Andy. How dare you? The very idea.
Brian, the food side of things, how we're starting to see panic buying on fuel now, whether we like it or not, whether we believe it or not. It might not be all over the country. It might be isolated pockets, but we know ourselves through our Discord that we've seen it. How long before that people put 2 and 2 together and realize fuel means food as well, and we start to see that rush on the supermarkets?
It will depend on the media and the government, as in what people are told and what's put in place to mitigate it. It could be the case of being a self-fulfilling prophecy, as in one news article goes viral saying, buy all the things now because shortages are coming. That would be enough. If you were to say to people, shortages may be coming soon, please shop responsibly, you would be as well as saying, yeah, empty all the shops now, just in case. So everybody goes home with 10 loaves of bread, right? And 60,000 toilet rolls immediately. They lose their minds. So it will depend on what's actually said and what actually happens. But like it or not, we're headed for a hit in inflation. Like it or not, companies' overheads are going up. Like it or not, this is going to happen. I just can't give you an accurate timescale. But I still think comfortably, 3 weeks we'll see changes. You're seeing changes now in your pocket. Those changes will only manifest more as time goes on. And this is showing no signs that the little orange guy keeps jumping from point to point. It's over, it's not over, I've not decided, we don't need any help, give us all the help. Markets like, I keep saying this, markets like stability. They like to know what's going to happen so they can price things accordingly. There's no stability here. So if there's no stability, prices go up. That's it.
I mean, none of the chat's listening to you, just so you're aware. The whole conversation's about me pole dancing at the moment. I'm just making you aware of this.
I mean, to be fair, mate,
pole dancing with toilet roll.
when you're talking about is there going to be a run on the supermarkets like with petrol? The way the country's at the minute, mate, you've probably got more chance of people looting. Because even if you wanted to make a run on the supermarket, you probably see an increase in shoplifting. Because if everything's going up in price, shopping's expensive enough as it is anyway. Like I said, Miss Wim spotted my Maltesers the other day and shouted at me, didn't she, for spending £4.50 on Maltesers.
But they're doing that now because there's no threat.
Yeah.
They just walk in and take it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, if it got that bad where prices went up again, I think you just see an increase in shoplifting. I don't think people would even pay.
That's crazy.
There is a thing that's happening right now that has already happened, and even if the war ends tomorrow, this thing is going to happen. I'm not a financial advisor, I hasten to add before I say this, so don't take my advice literally, but we were expecting the interest rates to be cut this year. That's not going to happen now. That's dead in the water. So if you're one of those people who are at the point of remortgaging or looking for a good deal, whatever the deal is just now, don't wait for that. A lot of people were waiting to see that interest rate cut. That's not happening. Take the deal now. And my opinion would be to make it a 3 or even 5 year deal on your mortgage. I did that a couple of years ago, the last time we were having a problem, because I'm pretty sure the economy is going to tank, within the year, and this isn't going to help it any. And the same can be said for the energy costs as well, because we're going to see a spike in that. So if you're on one of these variable rates, because you think the interest rates are going to come down in the next couple of months, I would recommend doing what I did and put yourself on a 24-month fixed energy plan now while the rates are at the current level, because nothing's going to get cheaper. It's only going to go up. The interest rates aren't now going to fall. That's just not going to happen. And that'll have a massive economic effect on a lot of people's real life, because if the interest rates go, even just up 1% or 2 from a mortgage point of view, you're talking about thousands and thousands of pounds and hundreds of pounds a month of a difference in your mortgage repayments.
I just got a new fixed rate on my gas and electric before all this kicked off, so I'm quite happy with that. At least for a year, I'm covered with that one. Riff says I could see drive-offs happening at the fuel pumps if the fuel hits 117 up. But I mean, 2 ways to look at that. We've seen £2 fuel, like was said earlier, and but yeah, like Andy, you said with shoplifting, fuel could be the one that the shoplifted as well, right? It's easy enough to do the drive-offs. And
to be fair, mate, if people started doing that on scale, they'd just put a stop to it. they are going to lose money. They'll just employ security, or as soon as you come in, they'll take your credit card off you, or they'll take cash off you, and they'll fill it up.
Have pay at the pump, right? And they can switch off pay at kiosk.
Yeah.
So they could make you pay in advance anyway. So
yeah,
I think a lot of them would do that. Brian, stop egging them on with the pole dancing.
You'll see a lot of tree surgeons going about with drills and buckets around diesel tanks shortly, I would think.
Yeah.
There'll be vans tarmacking roads with no tarmac laid, but a lot of diesel going walkies.
Yeah. Oh, with the theft, that fuel that we were talking about earlier, those people in rural areas and a lot in Northern Ireland, you're going to see theft through the roof with that stuff.
Yeah.
So if you are one of those people who's got a fuel tank in their garden, do everything possible to start securing that down. I would start putting security in place, have a camera, signage, a light, put everything in place now, because that stuff's going to start getting robbed. It already gets stolen. I had a friend that had some stolen years ago when he was renting a farmhouse rather. But you're going to see a massive, industry of like a black market of that stuff going on. Probably, especially in somewhere like Northern Ireland, where that kind of stuff is rampant.
Yeah,
Jace the Logan's going to have to get on the ball, isn't he? I think he's got 1 million barrels of diesel on his property, on his land. So he's going to have to.
And here is his 3 words location.
I tell you what, if there was ever a reason to get that log burner, if you lived in one of these rural properties and you have the ability to do that, this is absolutely the time. We have got the benefit. I think it was you, Andy, that pointed out we're in the summer, so we've at least we're in spring. We're coming into summer, so we at least have a little bit of a window where we don't have to have the heating running all the time. So, if you can do it, get that log burner now, because at least then you've got access to fuel that's genuinely never going to be completely cut off. You can just literally take a chainsaw and go to the woods, which isn't legal, but start or freeze. I know what I would pick.
Casually going for a walk with a chainsaw over the shoulder. I'm just taking the spaniel out for a walk here.
Yeah.
No idea. I know people that live in Wales surrounded by trees, but they run out of wood unless they get enough donations. So it's not always plain sailing.
You're such a bitch.
Urban Prepper Detective says, I am ex-police. During the last financial crisis, there was a significant, not massive, increase in the first-time adult offenders. No money equals more new thieves. A lot never broke the law before the crisis, and this would be worse than that, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're importing criminals now.
Yeah. So, what do we do without fuel? That's the whole point of this podcast. What do we do without fuel? Andy, you said you don't have generators and stuff, but you have solar and stuff like that. So, I mean, you're okay for charging devices and what have you. Is it the Delta 2 that you've got?
No, I've got the 3.
You got the Delta 3. All right. Okay,
So,
I see. That's how the other half live. That's what that is. Yeah.
Cash money, bitches.
So to be fair, mate, I got the.
You can come to my pole dancing club, Andy.
To be fair, mate, I got the Delta 3, mate, purely for the chest freezer, mate, in the garage.
Yeah.
To keep that going as long as I could. To be fair, mate, I've got the C300 for charging phones.
Thing. It's brilliant.
To be fair, mate, that mate, I prefer that, mate, over the Delta 3.
But that, at the moment, by the way, everybody, the Delta 2...
It's not charged.
Mine's charged. The Delta 2 is on spring sale at $399. The one Andy's on about, which I love as well, is on spring deal at $159 at the moment. So worth $159. Yeah, there's the 3, yeah. Nice. Don't start holding power banks up. Brian will be there all day.
I can stop buying them anytime I want to.
What have you just purchased?
What's that,
for
mate?
A video? What have you just purchased for a video?
Best 420 quid I've ever spent.
Really?
I'm going to buy one next. That's my next purchase. That.
It's okay, actually. It's a decent enough unit. I just don't like the handle. The handle's absolute shit.
Yeah.
But like every power bank, there's things you don't like.
So living without fuel, how long before? I mean, what do they do with work? Do they try and do a lockdown situation where it's work from home if you can work from home, and furlough for people who can't? And how's that going to be funded? How do you think that what happens with work? Or is it going to be a case of we are in SHTF, so work suddenly doesn't matter and it's survival.
If it's that nuclear option that you've got shortages, the shortages, you could try and mitigate them. Simple things like car sharing or working from home. If you're like COVID, everybody will be a key worker. Jimmy the janitor overnight becomes Superman. He's going to work in his own underpants, right? He thinks he's a superhero because he puts sand on kids' vomit, right? That's the sort of shit that will happen again. So, but that, humour aside, if you've got nurses, etc., all needing to get to the wards and get to hospitals, the simple thing is car sharing. One, it saves them money, right? Because fuel will be through the roof. And two, it gets everybody to work. That would be encouraged, if not mandated. And if you work from home, you work from home. They're two things straight away that would solve a lot of your problems.
Mm-hmm. And when there's no fuel at all, so like available to job logs, we've started reserving that for, emergency services and stuff like that. Does the country just shut down then?
That would be a real problem. That would be an SHTF situation, because if it's only military and that sort of thing that's getting fuel, who's supplying the distribution centres for the warehouses to get the food to the shops? Then they've got to get from the RDCs to the shops, and then you've got to get to the shops to buy the produce. Mm-hmm. So if that's the situation we're in, we are an SHTF.
Yep, indeed.
I'm okay with that for about 6 months, so yeah, I'm all good.
To be fair, mate, we've hardly got any military, so the military, mate, won't even use that much fuel.
Well, the RAF, like I say, are massively active at the moment, and they're probably the biggest fuel users out of the military branches, right? Well, Navy when they've got boats working, but but yeah, I mean, they'd have to reserve it for military use, for emergency services use, fire, ambulance, things like that, police, to keep the rioters
food distribution,
farming. Yep, all of this thing. I mean, they're trying to kill farming anyway, right? Alan, with no fuel, what does that do for you? Do you try and get into work in alternative means? Are you not going to work by that point? Is it back to survival and don't worry about the mortgage till it's all fixed again?
No, I mean, I think a lot would have to happen before we get to the point where we've got absolutely no fuel at all. And kind of like, so sort of briefly, what Andy was talking about earlier about going into survival mode, rationing and stuff, that's initially what I would do as well. So it would be a case of not being so frivolous with the car, for example. I would cut the car
swap to exclusively using the bike.
Well,
because it's much more fuel efficient.
Yeah. I was just thinking there, at what point would I ditch the car and use the bike, because it is incredibly fuel efficient. And it might be the case that initially what I would do, because I'm in the position where I have a motorcycle and I have a car. I don't live that far away from work. In reality, I could just bloody walk. It would take me half an hour. You know what I mean? But let's say I was a wee bit further away than that. I would relegate the car to a weekly bulk shop or a fortnightly bulk shop, and I would properly bulk buy. I wouldn't be going down to Tesco. I'd be trying to get to a Costco and buying things that I require in bulk at that point, and use the space of my car in order to do it. If I need to, I can use the bike, to the motorcycle, that is, to go that further distance if I was further away. If I was a serious commute. The benefit being it's still the summer months, and only if there's heavy snow does riding a bike become a bit of an issue. But other than that,
I've found something for that.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
this is what we all need.
I tell you what, I mean, if you've got a local shop or a food distribution center and you're within a couple of miles of that would be your alternative. I mean, why not buy a bicycle? If you can get to your work by walking or just taking a bike rather than taking your car, then why wouldn't you do that? And if we got to a point where we had literally no fuel whatsoever, we were fuel starved, lots of things would take place that we would have to adapt that we aren't even thinking about just now. So we would have to adapt to what everybody else is doing. There would probably be a single place where everybody collected their food parcels on a certain date, etc. And it would be
I'm trying to more think like what affects that. I mean, my work, for example, I'll give me for example, my work would be done. It's travel industry. Yeah, with no fuel, no travel. All right. So my work would be done. There'll be a skeleton crew in there like there was through COVID to take calls and apologize, which they can do from home. But what would it affect you? Like, would you think your work would carry on?
Yeah, I work in logistics, heavy logistics and shipping. So
yours would be the last to go.
It would literally be the very last thing that would stop unless we stopped importing, which for our country would be an absolute nightmare scenario. That would be World War II style rationing and all the rest of it. So that'll never stop, and I can't work from home. I operate machines and stuff. They physically need the man to drive the stuff that I operate. That would happen, and I'm in a lucky position that it's walking distance, so I would go into that kind of mode. But like Andy was saying, you'd have to go into survival mode at this point. You're no longer a prepper. I mean, if you're living off the resources you've got there. I mean, I honestly don't think people prep a lot of fuel because it's a difficult thing to store. I mean, me personally,
expensive thing to store.
Yeah, I mean, because this is a thing for the past couple of weeks, I've filled my car up, I've filled my bike up, and I've filled up my bike's 2 jerry cans that I've got in the shed. I don't really want to go out and buy containers and stuff at the moment, but I am already looking at buying some containers, just the containers, in the assumption that if it carries on in the next couple of weeks, it might be a case of we're in a queue for 2 hours. Remember when the fuel strike happened? And then when you get to the pump, you're kind of restricted by how much you can pump. I've got a very small car, so I would I'd fill the car, then I'd fill those bloody jerry cans in the back seat, and then I would be on my way, and I'd probably get on my bike and go back around in a circle and do the exact same thing again. And I would do that a couple of times in the week in order to keep myself.
Remember the carrier bag picture? You remember the guy with the carrier bag?
The guy with the petrol in it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, mate, if we're talking like, if we are talking SHTF, where like the extreme versions, every military camp has its own POL point, its own petrol station. So if everyone bomb bursts and everyone leaves the camp and the camp's empty, and yet it's close enough by, you could go in there, and you could literally just go in, mate, and just fill your things up if the situation was that bad.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like real SHTF there. If you're risky going into one of them, and I actually put 2 links up for tonight for the mods to share. One was a hand siphon and an electric siphon for that very reason. For completely legal acquisition of fuel.
See, on the electric vehicle front, so people like myself thinking it's great, it'll not really affect me, but it will. Because electricity costs are going up, because energy costs are going up. That's going to be a factor for EV drivers as well as diesel and petrol drivers. So they'll not be isolated from this.
Can you charge your EV through solar, Bri, or not?
Not directly, but you can through your power bank. So you could. The batteries in the domestic side of the system is about 22 kilowatt hours. So between March and roughly September, October, we don't pay for any power at all. We are more or less grid independent at that point. So in theory, I could still run the house side of things and put in about 10 kilowatts of charge into the car every day if I had to. So you could still be mobile.
Yeah.
But if you really wanted to, if you've got, like, see your Delta 3 there, you could get the crappy 3-pin plug, so like the 7 kilowatt charger for your electric car. Plug that into your Delta 2 or Delta 3, put your 4 over panel solar panels out, and trickle charge your EV charger that way. Now, it's going to take a bit of time, but you would have a viable vehicle solution there.
Yeah.
Not like you used to have, but you would have a vehicle.
Yeah, I've not anymore. Got rid of the electric vehicle. Thank God.
I mean, the whole thing, mate, was storing fuel. I would only store fuel if I had a generator. Because if things are that bad, where am I going in my car? Realistically, for me personally, not anyone else. If things were
Mike's
that bad,
dancing club.
You're doing it via Zoom.
Shake those cans, baby.
So, I mean, other than stocking up on fuel, how else do we prepare for it? I mean, is it solar? Is that the way to go? Because at the end of the day, getting to work's much less important than keeping the lights on and keeping warm, right?
To be fair,
Can I be honest?
It depends what you want to
Sorry.
do, doesn't it? It depends what you want to do. If you want to keep your phones charged and you want to keep your tablets charged for the kids and that type of stuff, then all you need is a C300 and 100 watt fallen panel to keep that going. You know what I mean? If you want to keep the TV going and you want a DVD player going or something like that for the kids, then you need something bigger. Like it's all dependent on what you want to run. Like you don't need, you know what I mean? You don't need X, Y, and Z if you just want to keep your phone on the go, listen to music or whatever.
Yeah. Brian, what were you going to say there before?
It was probably a lie, mate, because I forgot. What this specific crisis, other than the fuel element of it, doesn't really change how we would prep anyway. Or I don't think it should change how you would prep, because like everything that's out the ordinary,
not even accelerate it.
I would accelerate my fuel preparations. And if you, because it all depends on what everybody's got resource-wise and what their needs are, because these things only happen like the week before payday. They never happen when your bank account's full to the gunnels. It only happens when you've got no money, because that's how it is. That's when bad things always happen. The dog gets sick when you've got no money, or a bill comes in, or the car breaks when you've no money. That's how life is. That aside,
telling me this.
We prep for things that happen and unexpected.
Goes wrong every Tuesday.
But you prep for shortages. That is the whole premise of prepping. Out the ordinary shortages. What we are talking about is supply chain disruption to food prices, inflation, shortages of that nature, and shortages of specific like fuel. So this isn't anything out of the ordinary for us, or it shouldn't be. The only thing I would suggest people should be changing is how they fuel their vehicle. Specifically, if you go to work one day, see on your way home, you should be filling the car back up. I don't care if you've only used quarter a tank of petrol or diesel. Go fill it back up on the way home. Until this shit's all over, that should be a habit. Every day before you go home, fill the car back up to the top every day. Never mind this. Don't let it get below half. That's still half empty. Get it filled.
I'll add a caveat that the cost of living's killing us all. A lot of people can't do it, Brian. I
get that.
My tank's full right now, but she's got to do a run to South Wales and back tomorrow, and I can't fill that whole thing back up.
You're actually saving money. You're saving money with fuel if you're using it anyway. I mean, unless you literally have nothing in your bank on that day. By buying the fuel at the current price today, I guarantee the fuel's going to drop tomorrow. It's not going to drop in price anytime soon. So the more you can buy now, the better from that point of view. I mean, I'm skint right now as well, but I've been filling my car up on the assumption that eventually I'm going to have to sit in a queue and it's going to be 3-4 pence more expensive anyway.
It's circumstance dependent. Like I said at the start of this, that these only happen when you don't have the money to do anything about it. So that's why we prep throughout months, weeks, days, years, so that it isn't a huge financial hit. The petrol crisis thing that we're facing just now, we just need to tweak it slightly. And if you've got the money, I would suggest you top up your tank every day until this is over. That's just a personal opinion. If it doesn't put you in financial hardship. Yeah.
Alan, you mentioned 6 days away from collapse the last time this happened. Yeah. Explain the collapse in that kind of scenario. How does that unfold when it comes to the fuel? I mean, we've talked about collapse in the past with CMEs, with EMPs. Yep. Eventually, when Andy pulls his finger out, we'll talk about it with alien invasion, even. But still waiting on that one. But we've talked about this loads on different scenarios. How does it look when it comes to a fuel shortage spurring it?
Well, based on what I was reading earlier, the economic, it was an economic collapse that was the causation of that was fuel shortages. It was to do with strikes. That's what the 2000 fuel crisis was all about. It wasn't necessarily that the the open market had changed any, or there was any real shortage in fuel demand. It was all to do with strikes and the knock-on effect of that. So the economic collapse, because you've got this runaway system. It's getting, it's the domino effect of, it starts off with one thing that has an impact on the next thing, and so on. You start having the government trying to bail out small companies that are going bust, like the hauliers, like Brian was talking about, and all that kind of stuff. You start seeing a run on the banks, because these small companies rather are trying to get as much capital as possible in order to keep themselves afloat, and the banks take advantage of that and start spiking the interest rates. Then you see a run on the interest rates, which then has this inflationary sort of ball rolling scenario going on, which causes inflation overall. That peaks with the interest rates, and then you've got people not being able to afford their remortgages, and you can see how it just keeps on going. And it only takes to the point where you're at the government is forcing rationing of something like fuel, or getting the army out to sort of fill up petrol stations, which is what they did in the year 2000. I was still in school when that happened. I remember seeing army trucks going into petrol stations. Yeah, it was my last year of high school, I may add. So. But I remember that happening. I remember the army going in with petrol tankers and filling up the petrol stations because the tanker drivers were refusing to do it. And it didn't take long to do it. You were talking like 2-3 months before the country started feeling that. It won't be a strike that happens this time, but it might be world economic crises that cause that. And the benefit we've got, like Brian says, if you prep for generic things, if you prep for energy shortages, if you prep for fuel shortages, if you prep for food shortages, it's a kind of catch-all. I mean, short of a meteorite racing towards the Earth and that you happen to be the place where ground zero is, I mean, all you can do is generically prep anyway, because that these things are out of our control. Now, we've got the advantage of nothing's going to directly hit you, in the sense that we're not about to be invaded. Meteorite isn't about to hit. You're talking about a UK-wide thing or a world-wide thing.
To be fair, Al, we are friends with Mike. Anything's on the table here.
That's true. That's true.
I'm looking for lights coming down right now.
First time we're all at the same campsite.
We've got a bit of leeway there. And the fact that we're not seeing panic buying at the moment, I think that's going to happen next week. We'll see. But the fact that we've not got that, but we're talking about it, that's the advantage we've got as preppers, if you like, is we're always trying to hedge our bets for seeing what the future is. So this is the time where we start getting smart. And even if we haven't got a lot of money, like me, I don't have a lot of money at the moment, but I'm already looking at a means to purchase containers to stock fuel, even though I don't stock fuel. The containers are cheaper than the fuel, right? I'm not going to go out and buy fuel just now and start hiding them in my shed, other than the two containers that I've got, because one kind of part of me still saying it's a waste of money. It's nothing will happen in a couple of weeks. You've just got a shed.
Alan's buying jerry cans and a hose.
I tell you what, I've actually got a small thin hose as part of my motorcycle prep, and that's to siphon tanks. Not illegally. It's just in case.
No, heaven forbid. No, not illegal. No,
that's what it's for. But
siphon with permission. That's what we
siphon with permission. But I mean, energy. If we're talking about a financial situation, which I think it's more of a financial issue than a fuel shortage issue. It's the fuel shortage issue causes the financial issue, but the financial issue is the thing that causes the problem. I mean, unless we're out of fuel literally for years, in which case it's Mad Max, we're all wearing leather masks and all that kind of stuff. But what we're talking about is being hit in the pocket.
It's one of those parties, is it? We're going to.
Let me get my stuff.
We could go into rationing mode. That's what I mean. Energy rationing is the way to do it. Even if you're on a fixed tariff of electricity and gas, like I am. So I pay I think it's like 180 quid or something a month I pay for gas and electricity, and it's supposed to be kind of capped at that. But that doesn't change the unit price of fuel. So if the unit price of fuel increases and I still use the same amount of energy, I am still spending that money. It's just that amount of money doesn't automatically come out of my bank, but the energy company still says I owe them money. So if that starts happening, then you start being clever about your energy usage. You'll start relegating your energy to one room. Do you really need every light in the house on? Do Do you need to run 2 TVs? You'll just start being clever.
You
about it
try
that
and
way.
tell my kids that. Do you need every light in the house on? Because I say it daily.
I say that right now, right at this very second. Every light in my house is on. My kids downstairs playing a PlayStation 5. I've got 2 computers running, a bunch of lights just for ambience, and all that DJ equipment. Yeah, literally, you can see the meter going woo when I turn it on. But I am already starting to think, okay, I'll give it another week, and then the second I start seeing a queue at the petrol station, then I start going into a little bit of sensible sort of, let's start rationing a little bit, because I can't afford not to.
Time for the hose, isn't it?
Time for the little siphon hose to come out. The petrol station at my work isn't very well protected.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary to think that it could be. I mean, we've had people saying 2 weeks away, 2 months away. I mean, that's a vast difference in timelines right there. We are already 2 weeks into it. If they're already fully prepared, Brian, as we are right now, would you advise people to go and do a bit more? Is it time to, I don't want to say panic buy, but as preppers, we do kind of boost our supplies a bit before the panic buy rush. Is that this time now?
I suppose the best way to answer that is as to what I did then. So I always keep some fuel at home. I recycle it into my wife's car because hers is still petrol. I did go and buy extra gas. I did go and buy extra petrol. I did fit a diesel heater and I did buy diesel for it. These are things that I would not normally have done at this time of year. Although I did have some of these things at home. Given the specific nature of the current problem, then it seems prudent to tweak your preps. We generically prep. As preppers, we generically prep because we don't know the future. So we hedge our bets. We generically prep to cover as many bases as possible. However, when we're faced with a specific threat such as this, if we think fuel's going to become more expensive or potentially harder to get, then it seems prudent that we would maybe have a bit more. So keep your tank topped up. Have a legal amount of fuel stored at home in a safe place. No stupid stuff, right? You don't keep fuel in a stupid can that's not approved in your kitchen or something. Let's be sensible, folks, right? Keep it in your neighbour's kitchen. All joking aside, be sensible with it. But I would suggest I tweaked my preps for this situation, but I generally prep generically. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Big thank you to Great Galas. First super chat of the night. Much appreciated. £5 says, the 2000 fuel crisis was the farmers and hauliers blocked the distilleries. We've less military fuel tanker trained these days if needed. Yeah. Andy Allen touched on that, the military getting involved in 2000. We obviously know the numbers are slightly different now than they are from 2000. The equipment's slightly different and stuff like that. Would they still be called upon?
Probably, but the issue you would have there, mate, would be in terms of if they were called upon, mate, it would be going to critical infrastructure. It wouldn't be going to the petrol station, so you could fill your car up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, the 100% mate, they would be called up, but it would be going to things like Alan and Brian said, mate, it would be going to support things like hospitals, critical infrastructure. That's where it would be shipped to, mate. They wouldn't be driving to Tesco and filling up the local petrol station so you can fill your car up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's what it would be.
Have you had any murmurings from any squaddy friends that about what's going on in Iran? Anything like that? No,
absolutely not, mate. No, it's from their opinion, mate. It's a non-starter.
That's what they think.
Yeah, it's a non-starter. Like so. If you look at there's a local TA base, mate, near me, and there is 10 man trucks, like 10 HEV trucks, yeah, along the side. You can see them from the motorway, and in the window, mate, like so it'll either be green, amber, or red, ready state, yeah, and 9 of those trucks, mate, are red. Which means they can't go anywhere missing parts, missing maintenance, missing something, and there's one truck mate that's ready to go. So if you think that's, and if people don't think, mate, that is representative of most of the state of equipment in the country, that's what it is. That's a small snapshot of where I live, mate. I can guarantee you now that is representative of most army bases on the country.
It's appalling.
I ask because yet again, with this Iran thing, with everything going on, I've seen more tabloids. Well, it's tabloids, so obviously take it with a pinch of salt. Talk of, to boost our military, we need conscription, and they're talking about it again, which we've already said is a bad idea. But this government's famous for bad ideas, so
think of it this way, right, mate, with the whole conscription thing, right? So when I was in Afghanistan, mate, in 2013, and bearing in mind, so that we were there for what, 20 years? That was a 20-year war, right? Mm-hmm. When I flew into Afghanistan, somebody who was leaving handed me their body armor plates, right? I then flew out to Mob Price, as it was then, Fob Price, yeah? When I flew back on R&R, I had to hand them plates to someone else who'd just come in because there wasn't enough body armor plates to go around. So even when I was on R&R, I had to hand them back in so somebody could have them. So if you think about it, mate, that's how bad it was back then when we were fighting. How bad do you think it is now? So even if they brought conscription in, you would honestly, mate, if they brought conscription in, they would honestly, mate, your joining instruction would say you need to arrive with your own set of boots, your own uniform, your own rifle, if you have one. Honestly, mate, like there's even like that's why, in my opinion, mate, conscription never going to come in because the infrastructure's not there. They don't have the accommodation, they don't have the kit, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the budget, they don't have the money.
It'd be that opening scene of the start of Dad's Army where 3 people are walking with pitchforks. One guy's got a shotgun and somebody else has got a couple of sticks.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So conscription makes you stupid. Like it's absolute non-starter. I don't know why people keep banging on about it.
Yeah, well, I think it's like some ex higher ups saying that we need it, so it spurs the tabloids every time they mention it, kind of thing.
Yeah. So in that terms, mate, once again, it's people who've never been on the ground and saw the implementation of their stupid ideas, which is why they come out with those things.
Yeah, but
which is why they're saying it wouldn't affect them. Which is why it wouldn't affect them. It's stupid.
It's for people who don't understand that a standing army doesn't actually give you any benefit, because if you're not in a conflict at that moment in time, if you've got a very large army, then all you've got is a bunch of people eating, getting paid a salary, requiring energy, requiring accommodation, standing around, not doing anything, but they're draining all of your resources. It costs a lot of money to keep a soldier employed, just fed. You know, it's the same with ships. If you've got a large navy but there's no war going on, then they're just out there rusting away and using fuel. You know, what's the point of it? That's why countries shrink their militaries to the absolute bare bones in peacetime, and then in wartime they do everything frantically possible to extend it. If you take a look at the numbers of the British Army or the British military in the Second World War, it was astronomical, but it wasn't before the war. It became astronomical after the war. It was like 1 million strong standing army or something. Remember, the population of Britain back then was only like 45 million or something, or less. You know, so you can always inflate the armed forces in a time of absolute need, and then you shrink it back to the point where you don't need it. Otherwise, you've just got guys standing around doing jack all.
It was it was a plan. It was a plan from like 2005, 2010, or something like that, where it's always been a plan to reduce the main force with the caveat of increasing the reserves. And that's how they were going to try and be more fluid.
Yeah, because
I think they overestimated how many people would want to be reserves.
It's a stupid idea, mate. To be fair, mate, I don't think they did. The whole point of being a reservist is you turn around, mate, and just say, "No, I don't want to go." Like, I've never understood the purpose of that. Like in peacetime, being a reservist is quite cool. You get to go away on the weekend. Yeah, but it's still not going to. I just never understood, mate, the whole. To be fair, mate, what Alan's just said there is the reason why the army's in the state it is now.
Yeah, I tell you what, just a sort of anecdotal thing as well. My brother's a reservist. He was in the Royal Signals for 6 years, and then he left, and he's a reservist just now. And he was on there was an exercise a couple of weeks ago where they organised for him to hire a car, and then he was to drive down to Wales to do this exercise that they were doing. And when he got there, they says to him, he was the only reservist there, everybody else was regular. And they say, so have you got this? I can't remember what he called it. It was some sort of training thing which makes you deployable. And he says, no, I haven't got that because I'm not deploying, so I don't need it. And they're like, but you can't do the exercise if you haven't got it. And like, but he's never told me that when I came down here. And he says, we emailed it. But because he's a reservist, he hasn't got access to the emails because that's restricted. So he literally went all the way down to Wales. They paid for this. They paid for him to hire a car, go to Wales, get accommodation there to do a 2-week exercise that he wasn't allowed to take part in. So they literally just had him like standing with a bloody high-vis vest on, sort of guiding guys as they tab by and all that kind of nonsense. Total waste of time. All because they couldn't be bothered sorting out an email for them or giving them the some sort of fitness test or something that makes you deployable. I can't remember what he called it. I was like, what the hell?
Probably,
I mean,
probably in OFTL, I would imagine.
Something like
test.
that. Yeah, something like that he mentioned. I mean, but what kind of mad organization is that? I mean, it's just the most. When I heard that, I thought that's pretty pathetic. Surely they could just give you access to it. Could they not have texted you or something like, yeah, nobody's that joined up. They're not thinking that way. Like, yeah.
I can tell you how bad, mate. And like another perfect example of that is right. So back in 2000 and was it 12 or 14? I can't remember. That was only 2 years. It was either before I went to Afghan or after. It might have been after. So I've been 2014. And so I was in 7 years, mate, and there was 2 lots of redundancies in those 7 years. So think about that as well. From 2009 to 2016, there was 2 lots of redundancy, and that was at the height of the Afghan war.
Wow.
And they thought full screws and above, so corporals and above, they were getting rid of. So all that experience, they were willing to make redundant.
I mean, I understand the concept of not having a standing army in peacetime, but I don't know what the exact figures are now. But I did once see a statistic that said that the New York Police Department has more police officers than the British Army has soldiers. And
yeah, 100%.
That's insane. You know, we're a country of 70 million. The population of New York must be, I don't know, 12 million or something.
But I saw a thing the other day, mate, and it said if they wanted, you know, when Starmer was on about sending troops to Ukraine, they said realistically we could only send a battalion of blokes, which is what, 700 people. Would be 700 blokes.
The numbers floated when that was mentioned was 10,000, and I thought to myself, who? You might be able to send 10,000 cadets. I don't.
The only army that's got bigger in the UK is one arriving by boat.
Oh, it's skirted the line. Watch for the squad coming in to dragging Brian out now.
Thunder flashes coming in through the shed. That'll be it. It's the opinion police.
They don't need to, mate. You just have to wait for that light to fall off again.
Release the light.
It's at times like this where I put my tinfoil hat on a little bit, though, and think that this is actually just all part of a bigger picture, a bigger drive in order to gear the public up for the inevitable. Like, yeah, it's terrible. The armed forces are shocking. We now have to spend all of this money on making the army bigger, having more ships. The Liberal Democrats of all people are talking about building nuclear weapon delivery systems back in Britain so we don't have to rely on Trident, the Americans anymore, which I don't know why we ever did in the first place, because we were just cheap as hell, and that's why we relied on the Trident system. The French never did it. They have their own delivery system. I don't see why we couldn't do that. So it's as if we're being geared up and prodded so that the public come to the decision. It's going to get, and imagine 10 years ago, the government saying we have to spend 5, 6, 7% of GDP on the armed forces. You would have every hippie in the country go, no war, no spending on defence, all that kind of nonsense. But if you keep on prodding the public with news stories that we're so desperately undermanned and so desperately understocked, we can't defend ourselves, etc., and there's all these threats, The public then go to the government and saying, why aren't you spending more? Why aren't you increasing my tax in order to spend more? It's almost as if we're being manipulated into the inevitable massive tax rise in order to fund all this stuff in the first place. That could be just to boost the numbers, but it also could be to prep for World War III, which I think is long overdue.
But that will massively backfire, because that is ammo for everyone saying, well, why are we spending XYZ billion on social welfare and nothing on the military?
Well, why are we? I mean, I would ask that question as well. I mean, that's the biggest drain in this country. But the reason we do that is because we are captured by a form of socialist Marxism in this country. My opinion, politically, cut that crap. The Labour Party is a benefit class party, and so in Scotland we have the SNP. They're exactly the same. They would rather throw money at their voter base, who are people who don't work, they claim benefits, but they still vote for these parties. And so they're doing everything possible to appease them. And the whole immigrant thing and all that just feeds into the Marxism of socialism. That's why that's allowed, and that's why that's taken place in America as well. That's a Western phenomenon for another podcast, maybe. But, all that stuff's going to backfire on us. It's already backfiring on us. And
it's only backfired on people at work. That's the problem.
Yeah, my tax is astronomical. I don't even make a lot of money, but I'm half of my salary is just bloody tax. If you factor in all the other stuff. I mean, I have almost, I'm a small rant. My council tax for my area is 8.9% this year. It was 10% the year before. How can they keep putting taxes up sort of 10 and 8% council tax every single year? I'm literally being taxed into, I'm a working poverty, taxed into poverty by the governments that we have in place, Doesn't,
I mean, because it's going to start to get to a point where benefits become appealing. At some point, Alan, you might look and think, I can sit at home, DJ, do YouTube all day, and probably is having just as much expendable income at the end of the day after bills than I do right now.
I could. I mean, technically, I have a mortgage, so it's a little bit difficult. I wouldn't get that paid for me. But my next door neighbor is still a council tenant. It's the same house. And, he doesn't work because he has a disability. But, he lives in the same house as me, has the same income basically as me, has a nicer car than me. Who's the mug here? Is it me or him? Because I'm kind of thinking it's me. I work 60-hour weeks, and I'm still less well off than him. And I don't think there's any moral high ground in being a worker. It's just that's bloody communism for you. If I won the
there's no
tomorrow,
social stigma with being a work shy lazy bastard, unfortunately.
And there should be, but that's the
no. Do you know what there should be? There should be a big bus with a big, excuse the language, folks, I'm having a rant. A big bus with big fingers pointing on it, pointing to inside at the windows going, lazy bastards, right? And it picks them up at their house every morning at 8 o'clock with the biggest horn playing La Caracha, right? And everybody sees it. And if they go out with orange jumpsuits on, and if they pick up dog shit with the thinnest possible 2-micron thick fucking bags that you can buy, that's what I would do tomorrow. Fuck them. Sorry. It annoys me. Bastards.
Ah, I see. The diplomatic approach.
Fuck them, mate. Sorry. I apologise. It really annoys me. It really sets me off every time, as you've probably guessed.
Before anyone gets on the high horse who is on benefits for a good reason in here, we're not chastising that in any way.
No.
Because you should be as pissed off as we are, because if you're generally entitled to them, you cannot genuinely work and stuff like that. They're taking money out of your pocket just as much as ours.
Yeah, I mean, I find it incredible that mental health cured bad backs. Remember that? Remember
That's brilliant.
Nobody has a bad back anymore to get off work. Now they just have a mental health problem. And,
that's it.
It's people will take advantage of things like that. And like you say, the people who genuinely have got mental health problems or bad backs, they should be royally pissed off at the fact that they're being mugs off by all of the endless amount of people who say, I've got a wee bit of social anxiety. That's why I haven't worked for the past 15 years. But I go on holiday 3 times a year,
All I can think of when we're on this rant bit is, does anyone remember Tory Boy from Harry Enfield?
Yeah.
And he's going past the job centre going, loungers, layabouts, this would not have happened in a conservative Britain.
But it did, though.
Anyway.
That's the problem.
It did, yeah, it happened. And the thing is, yeah, no, there's no real change. There's no real change, unfortunately. Anyway, we've got some questions before we end, so let's try and address some questions on topic, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
The first one was Phil saying, at what point do you think Iran waves the white flag, Mercury nuclear command or control aircraft en route from US?
Never.
Like Alan said, they are fundamentally happy to die for their cause.
No.
There is no white flag.
They're a suicide kill. In fact, they actually said today, see, because Trump put out an announcement saying that, oh, we're close to a deal, they're going to make a deal. That was him. He was talking bollocks. Iran actually publicly came out today and says, there's no deal. There never was a deal. We're not speaking to them.
Yeah.
Don't know what the hell they're talking about. We're never surrendering. Go to hell. We'll rather die. And believe them, that's true. They genuinely don't care. You know, suicide kill.
Yep. So there you go. I think that's all the answer we need for that one, Phil. Appreciate that. Norfolk Prepper said, if people can't get fuel or power, should they go down the alternatives route, e.g., solar, hydro, biomass, etc.? Solar, definitely. I think we're all quite adamant on that one. I
thought, and I thought Brian was a big like lover of wind power, so wind turbines and stuff.
No,
mate. Absolute shite. I'm fed up telling people shite. Yeah, but it says 400 watts. Shite. Oh, but I got this one from EcoWorthy. It says 1,000 watts. It's still shite, right? They're overstated. They're shite. They don't work. Stop asking about it. Unless you've got a croft with a couple of acres and 30 fucking grand, stop going on about wind turbines. They're shite. Do I need to paint that on the fucking wall? Shite.
For anyone that doesn't know what just happened, is Andy just went like this. Okay, yeah, there you go. I mean, hydro, biomass, I don't really know much about biomass. Hydro, if you've got a flowing river, 100%, I think hydro is a good one. You'll never get as much power as a sunny day with solar or a mediumly sunny day with solar, but it's 24/7 generation. Yeah, it's all the time, right? It's better until you've got to go up there every single day and clean out the leaves and silt and shit, right? There's a manual task involved with it. So
if you can afford to do this stuff, if you can afford to do this stuff, there's no reason not to, right? That is the case.
Definitely,
100%.
You know, I mean, I would love to put solar on my house. I literally can't afford it, and I'm not going to take finance out on that just now. I'd rather get a wood stove and then run to the woods when it all goes completely to hell. But you know, if you can afford to do it, definitely do it. Yeah. Hey, I've done it before.
We know. We turned up to the island and there's a 4-star hotel.
There you go.
RAF base.
I would be living like that
so well. There was a couple of comments today on Discord as well about, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it was, I live in Scotland and solar's rubbish. I live in Scotland as well. For basically 2/3 of the year, I don't pay any power bill. So, and I'm hardly running about like, you know, Trump with an orange suntan, right? It pisses here 9 times out of 10. Solar is perfectly viable in the UK. You just need enough surface area to capture it. So, but even some is better than nothing. You don't need like 20 kilowatts. You'll need enough to meet your needs. And if your needs are, like Andy said earlier, one small power bank like a C300 and a folding panel to charge your phones, that's fine. That's all you need to be as a price point. If that's all you need, you don't have to spend thousands.
Best starting point.
Can I ask a question actually for you, Brian, when it comes to solar? Because I imagine you've done the math on this kind of stuff. For me, the argument for solar was always, if you can afford to have solar plus, power walls or whatever, batteries in order to capture that energy and use it for household purposes. That makes sense to do that from a prepper point of view because it removes your reliance on the energy grid. But from a financial point of view, it still doesn't make sense because not only, I mean, it's fine to say, yeah, I don't pay an energy bill in the summertime, but I do in the wintertime. But you also have to realize, or I'm thinking, don't those batteries have to be changed every 5 years? So
no.
It's okay to say, yeah, I spent 30 grand on solar, but I'll get my money back in 10 years. But no, you won't, because in 10 years, you're going to have to replace those batteries and replace, that solar stuff. And so you're never actually making any money. You're never getting your money back because you have to replace it all.
I can answer that. It depends what you look at it, right? The feed-in tariff was very generous when it came in. And now we've got SEG, which is utter shite. But I can guarantee you a few things in life other than power is only ever going to go one way in terms of cost, and that is up. And that has been... There's little peaks and troughs, but energy always gets more expensive. So whenever you get into buying your own power or becoming independent from the grid or semi-independent, it'll always be cheaper then than it's going to be in the future in terms of saving you money. Your cycle life, you're looking at about, so they'll talk about that, they'll guarantee you 80% capacity. They'll, more or less, that's a benchmark. They'll guarantee you 80% in 10 years. That doesn't mean to say 10 years your batteries, a lot of people think at 10 years time, you've used up your cycles and your batteries are scrap. It doesn't work like that. All it means is in 10 years times, they will guarantee you that you've got at least 80% of capacity left in that battery. So if you've got a 10 kilowatt battery, in 10 years time, you'll have an 8 kilowatt battery. That is what the guarantee is for. So you don't have to rush out in 10 years time and replace the batteries. That's a common misconception that people have got in their head. That's not how it works at all. Personal opinion,
Get
solar
wind.
panels. Fuck right off. solar panels without batteries is like, you know, being the only guy in an island full of women with no condoms. It's totally pointless, right? You need batteries where we live so that you can make the most.
That wasn't the best analogy to make.
I'll explain that to Mike. Mike, condoms are things that stop you having a family like the Waltons, right?
All right.
Right. I'll draw you a picture how that works. I know
Can you go back and explain that to 18-year-old Mike, please?
Yeah. So it's not a net loss. Then. The idea
it's not a net loss, but I'll put it to best way I could. Our bills. So my employer lends us 10 grand every 2 years for energy improvements. We don't pay any interest on it. So every 2 years I buy more solar. But I pay 420 quid a month out my wages for that. But my gas bill was about 250 quid. My electricity bill was about 150 quid. So I was still paying 400 pounds every month on average, right? So for an extra 20 quid, after 2 years, I argue that I've paid my system off. It's paid for itself because it's only costing me an extra 20 quid, more or less. So my energy bills have dropped down to £45 a month on average for the year. That's where they're sitting at. But it depends where you live, how much solar panels you've got. More is better, and you need batteries. But it's not just about being a prepper thing, independent for the grid. It's you will get your money back. And the more expensive energy gets, the quicker you get your money back.
I think Hawkins did the math on his house and it was less than 5 years before it'll have paid for itself, right?
Average is 5 to 7 years, depending on panel orientation, panel numbers, and whether you've got batteries and stuff. There's a lot of variables, but between 5 and 7 years, some people it might even be 3.
Yeah,
it just depends.
You talk about like, oh, I don't want to get finance out on it, but if your finance amount is XYZ, but you're saving this much from your energy bills at exactly the same time, that finance becomes quite minuscule in some cases. So anyway,
sorry, I get excited there. Sorry.
There was a £5 super chat saying, "Can we keep antagonizing Brian?" I think that was super chat was on your channel there, Brian.
It was. Thanks, Stuart.
Mel is just talking utter rubbish, total garbage. It just makes no sense whatsoever. He says, "I do wonder if we will drop the net zero for our own oil and coal, ultimately making us self-sufficient." What? Why would we do that as an island nation?
Net zero was complete nonsense to begin with. Totally crazy.
It is.
No,
and
never
everyone
made any
knows
sense.
Everyone knows it apart from the powers that be. What about starting Dad's army back up again? Yeah, I'm game. That's it. I think we've got the makings of it right here. I'm at the gas station right now watching maybe 15 cars in a line and the gas is $4.69. So, I mean, even in the States where it's drill, baby, drill, they're still having the same knock-on effects, I'm guessing. The English prepper, do you measure how many days worth of food that you prep?
Oh, important safety tip on that. See, when you say drill, baby, drill, don't ever say that in the men's showers. Just thought I'd mention that. It might cause you some problems later in life. But anyway, I thought I had to say that.
Did you have to say it? Or did you want to say it?
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
It just came out.
Andy, do you measure how many days worth of food that you prep?
I measure it by how long I can stretch it.
Based on calories, based on meals, based on
based on one meal a day. So I base it on the extreme ends of things. All my preps are based on the extreme ends of things. So if I had, for example, I don't know, say I had 30 24-hour ration packs, for example, I would double that to 60 and say I could make that last 60 days. That's how I do it. I do things on the like I said, mate, before when I started the channel, I said if something happened, I would go from prepping to surviving. What I do in prep time is irrelevant now that I am in
survival mode.
Yeah, so everything I have, mate, is stretched to the extreme, really.
Brian, I know you track yours similar sort of way to what I've done with my Excel sheet, where you've got the number of cans and stuff like that. Do you track how much that accumulates to calories on meals wise, or is it just a guesstimate?
No, I've got it worked out more or less at about 1,800 calories per day per person. So that works out
based on current household, I assume, not any additions.
Yeah, no, that's based on current household plus 2. Plus, I'm going to start adding in more of those energy bars for the undesirables who turn up. Yeah. So here's a bar of chalk. That's 2,000 calories. Have a nice day. Now fuck off.
Yeah.
I reckon I've got enough for 7 months. 7 months for 7 people at the moment.
Good stuff. That's quite a supply. Alan, the non-prepper, do you measure how many days worth of food you prep? Do you even check the cupboards and work it out?
Not to the extent that most of the audience here and you guys will do. Genuinely, I did a couple of months ago do a bit of an inventory check, if you like, because I've got a food pantry, and I've always been somebody who bulk buys a few items anyway, like certain tins and olive oils and certain grains and stuff like that. So I've always kind of did that anyway, but it only amounts to a few weeks worth. The only food that I've ever prepped, I suppose, if you like, is these freeze-dried type camping style foods. Because I occasionally use them when I go on hiking trips, but I have caches. I've got buried caches. It's the only genuine proper prepper thing I've ever done, is I've got these caches and I've got those food bags in those caches along with rice, flour and pasta. That's so in a way I've kind of got I've got more food buried in holes than I have in my house.
Andy's laughing at something. I've got to know what it is. He's sitting there pissed himself laughing.
It's on the screen. It's on the screen. Do you
Fuck
need all
off.
of that, or just a good winter?
Motherfuckers.
With regards to that English prepper, I did make a video about documenting stuff not so long ago based on calories per day and stuff like that, and I have created a Google Sheets thing that's absolutely free for anyone to go and copy, download and do their own thing with, which will help you determine how much food you've actually got, and it can be surprising, like if you've just been guessing before then. So make sure you check that out. Is it true TA centers usually keep a stock of small arms? It makes sense if it came to the crunch that they'd need to arm Dad's army, possibly SLRs. Andy?
Yes, they do. And so the difference with those, mate, is so you keep weapons and ammo are kept separate in two separate locations of the camp. The difference where it comes into, and obviously that's, so I used to run the armory, mate, when I was in the army in my last unit. So only myself and the BQ had the codes to the safe. So you'd have to go into the guard room and you'd go in the safe, get the keys out, go in the armory. Yeah. The difference with TA sentences, mate, they are literally policed by the police. So all of their alarm system is linked into the local armed forces unit. Not armed forces, sorry, the local firearms unit.
Right.
So if anything happens, that alarm goes off and it gets sent straight to your local firearms unit, and then there comes straight out. That's the main difference, because obviously TA camps are only manned 9 to 5 Monday to Friday usually,
Right.
and the odd weekend. So that's the main difference. But yeah, they have got weapons on TA camps usually.
There you go. Cheers for the question. Not sure what you're planning. Best not tell us. Question: have you guys tried these terracotta pot or sand and gravel water filters? Seen them, not tried them. Anybody?
Nope.
No.
I've had a go at making something like that before, but it was purely just out of fun. There was no.
Did it work?
Something I would. It worked. Yeah, it worked. You can get clean water from it if you do it properly, but there's much easier ways and cheaper ways of doing it using bags and plastic barrels and buying proper filters, which is a safer way of doing it, because doing the homemade terracotta style stuff, it's never foolproof, and you can't see the stuff you try to prevent. That's, remember, it's only a filter, not a purifier.
If you're going to save money with prepping, make sure it's not on your water and the stuff that's going to sustain your life. Like, if you buy a cheap stove and it goes wrong, then you're going to eat cold meals, but you're still going to eat. If you cheap out on the water filter, you're going to shit yourself to death.
Don't buy chest wigs, gold medallions, and get your teeth done in Turkey, and then do a prepper channel, because your money's better spent on food and water. Just going to throw that out there.
I think he had a wind turbine as well.
Aye, fucking Barry Gibb.
You boy. Sorry. So, but Wishful says, sorry if it's been covered, or asks, but what's the easiest and most cost-efficient heating system with no gas or electric mains?
Sleeping bag.
Good answer.
Sleeping bag, mate, in a hot water bottle.
Yeah. Heating yourself is much easier to heat a room. Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah.
I feel like an asshole. I was going to say set the neighbour's house on fire. I was way off. I got it totally wrong.
I mean, no gas or electric. You've still got your diesel heater, right?
Diesel heater.
That's for solar. Can you run a heater like that off solar? Is there anything like that?
Well, I could run an electric heater off the battery bank in the solar. So a little blown air heater that's down there, it runs on 1,000 watts. So on a full charge of the domestic batteries, excluding the power banks, I could run a heater for 22 hours.
Okay.
In theory. Obviously, that's when the sun's out. In the summertime, when you're getting the best use of solar.
When you don't need the heat.
When you don't need it. Your times you need a heater is when your solar performance is the weakest. So it's the worst possible time to use up your limited resources then. Diesel heater or Mr. Buddy heater for me.
Yeah. Any additions to that, Alan?
No, I don't think so. I mean, other than if you needed to relegate yourself to a particular room, and you'd be amazed how easy you can heat it up. And there's things you can do to make your home more thermally insulated, with decent curtains, carpeted floors, draft excluders, that kind of stuff. And the room I'm in just now is a normal double bedroom sized room, and just me in here by myself and a couple of computers running. The temperature in here is, well, it says it's 19.8 degrees on this. It feels a little bit warmer than that, to be honest, but there's no heater on, and it's quite cold outside at the moment. So you can heat a room like this quite easily. And if there was a couple of yous in here with a TV on, just, layering, I spend days under tarps in the winter, and I'm never really cold because I'm dressed properly.
My 24-hour blackout thing that I did taught me quite a lot, because it's still winter when I did it, obviously. So it's amazing how quickly the temperature in a house that you think is well insulated can drop. And I think Andy's spot on. Sleeping bag, layers, I had gloves and coat on, and that was the best thing. I was shocked how much this little thing kicked out, which just runs off the same gas canisters that we talked about, that are 28 thingy, and it didn't use all that much gas. I was turning it off.
I was shocked it never blew up.
There's still time. And believe it or not, the other one is I had like 3 or 4 candles just burning next to me, and at one point I had to blow 3 of the candles out because I was using them as a light source more than heating. Didn't even think about the heating, but I had to turn the candles out and use the little light on top of the C300 because it was it was getting too warm just with the candles. So you'd be surprised what works quite efficiently.
That power bank there, the little one that I showed a minute ago, and the electric blanket, that'll run that electric blanket for between 5 and 7 hours. So if you've got a few of you in the house and it's not even bedtime, you could be sitting around on the couch or on the floor on a blanket with that round you and another blanket on top, and it'll keep you toasty warm in the coldest of times and not a lot of power.
Yeah.
For anybody who's interested in keeping a small area warmed, there's a few YouTube channels about the traditional way Japanese people heated themselves in their houses, because their houses are traditionally terrible when it comes to insulation, literally paper walls and stuff like that. And they have like a special table, a low table with like a blanket thing around it that has a fan inside it, a heating system, that kind of stuff. I forget the name of it. I've mentioned this before, but there's tons of channels about it. It's really interesting actually the way they layer, and they relegate themselves to certain spaces. They heat themselves, they don't heat the room, and they've got all these techniques of doing that. And because eventually the inside of your house will become the ambient temperature of outdoors if there's nobody in it and there's no energy. But the way the Japanese do it is incredible.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll look into that. Hopefully that helps. Wishful will be 2 more questions and then we can let everyone go, because we've hit the 2-hour marker here. I have a log burner, but wonder how other possibilities for family who don't have this. I think that was just a follow on from her question there. So log burner is the goal for a lot of us. I think it's circumstance and houses, and
government's doing everything to make them illegal. They're trying everything to ban them. They tried it up here as well.
Absolute wankers.
Yeah. Last one here from Scoop, the White Adder. Did you not see what happened the last time when our subs tested their launch systems? USA maintained these. We're getting conned. I assume he's talking about the lovely spiral display that the Tridents did on 2 test fires, right? That must be that one. What about modern version of Churchill's Civil Defence Corps? Yeah, same as the Dad's Army thing. I think you're good. We've got other questions in there, but I am going to have to let the guys go because it's been 2 hours. Brian's on a 5-can limit, so
I've got a can and a half left. I'm good. It's all right. You're okay now.
No, we will. Any other questions? Tune in next week when we'll do a Q&A. It'll be an update on the state of the nation. It'll be an update on the state of the war in Iran, followed by nothing but Q&A. Because you guys are so active in these. We have over 300 people in here. And if we get some questions in, we can spend a bit more time doing them. So tune in for them next week. Alan, what's coming up on your channel this week for people to, or this month for people to look forward to?
I think there's a kit review coming up. There's another walk and talk thing that I'm doing. And I am, as I've said for the past few weeks, still behind with the proper stuff. But I've got some footage that I need to just finalize, and I'll get some proper camping stuff up there as well. So, because my channel is mostly, I say it's outdoor based, but the past couple of months it's been mostly kit reviews and stuff. But if you're interested in that, that's there.
Awesome. That's the World Survivalist. I'm sure they'll put the links in the chat for you, so make sure you go and check that out. Brian, what's going on your channel this week or this month?
I don't know. It's just all shite, really, isn't it? That's just random stuff. I've not got a plan. I've got a backlog of stuff to do, and I've not got round to it yet. So that was the last one. A knife. So the channel members voted the next giveaway they want a knife. So the budget's 90 quid. I'm going to get the best knife I can for £90, and we'll review it. And then
send you some links.
Good man. And then one of the channel members, you get it. If they're over 18, and by the way, you're going to need to prove it, because I ain't doing time for sending a knife to a child.
Are you going to get something off Raven Forge, Bri?
No. No. I got to, first time I've bought anything from them, no harm to them, but I got 2 of the lucky bags, and they were...
That's nothing to do with Raven Forge. What idiot buys a lucky bag? That's what I would say.
It would have fit you better if you'd used bags throughout your life, I'm going to say. It would have saved a fortune.
Oh, dear.
I just randomly wanted to see what was in them. So, and I'm not into knives. I prefer things that go bang. So, like your condoms.
Oh, your light fittings.
Oh, dearie me.
Andy, you were asking about content on the Discord. What's coming up on your channel?
Yeah. So I'm flying to Poland, mate, next week.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to do an EDC video of what I'm taking to Poland. And I know most people know I was in the artillery, but I think people assume that I did light guns or something similar. But I didn't. I was actually precision fires. So I was all to do with missiles. So someone dropped something in the Discord, mate, that wanted to know the difference between Patriot missiles, what the payload was, how they interact with drones and all that type of stuff. So I'm going to throw a video out on that as well, mate, I think.
Oh, awesome. Nice one. Look forward to that.
So there you go. So make sure if you've took the time to join us today, whichever channel you've joined on, make sure you take the time to go and check out the other channels. On my channel this week, it's more ranting and rambling and interviews and all sorts of rubbish. So yeah, that's so if you're watching on one of the other guys, you can always check out mine as well. All the links are usually in all the videos. I've started putting the links in properly, so you can link to all of these guys' channels. They're all linked below, including some of the panel members that are not here at the moment. So make sure you take the time to go and check all them out. It would be much appreciated. Andy, final thoughts on this subject and then goodbyes?
Yeah, I think what Alan said earlier, mate, if you just prep for, irrelevant of what you prep for, it is kind of a catch-all. So whether you're prepping for grid down, whether you're prepping for fuel shortages, whatever it would be, I think it catches all. It catches everything. And other than that, jump in the Discord, guys. We're all in there. Active every day. Lots of good stuff in there. Jason Logan's always good. Take the piss out of. So feel free to jump in there, guys. And like I always say, guys, if anyone's got any questions they don't want to ask in the Discord because they feel daft or whatever, always feel free to DM me and I'll answer best I can.
And it's worth mentioning that honestly, the Discord, as much as we have banter, there's no silly questions. If you're brand new to prepping and you're asking you think it's going to be the most basic question that you should know, don't worry about it. We'll answer it properly, and you know we'll guide you in the right direction. Brian, final thoughts and goodbyes.
Can we just take a moment to think about the unfortunates of the world, like Welsh Prepper, because poor John at this moment in time is having to experience a hotel without an RAF butler, and those of us that are fortunate, you know, unlike him, he's having to slum it, and I'll bet it's not even best port. So I'd just like to take a chance to, you know, think of the less fortunate people in the world.
Poor guy. Thank you, Brian. It's totally selfless of you. Alan, any final thoughts on this subject?
I would just say it's not panic buying if you buy before the panic buyers. That's just prepping and being intelligent. So if you have the means to stock up on the things we've been talking about, then start doing it now before everybody else does, and practice. Learn some skills. Learn how to make your food go further. Learn how to, you know, skillfully make your resources go further than they can, rather than just living off the stuff that you've prepped the way that you live just now. That's, to me, always a big thing. Skills, practice skills, learn stuff.
Awesome. There you go. Big thank you to all of our moderators this evening. It's been superb having you in there, posting the links to everyone's channels, all the cool stuff that we've been talking about, and the links to products, which are affiliate links affiliated to my channel. So if you use them, it does help you out a bit, but you've got a choice not to. And thanks to Miss Worm. Happy Mother's Day to everyone as well, by the way, all the mothers out there. Thank you. And Miss Worm, who is the matriarch of our prepping family. So happy Mother's Day to her. Go and check
Every
out
day's Mother's Day. It's a racket, Mike. It's a racket. It's a scam. Every day's Mother's Day.
I'm trying to sing praise, right? Go and check out Miss Worm's channel anyway. Published author, got her own book, stuff like that. More books coming soon, I'm pretty sure. So go and give her channel some love as well. She'll post a link to that. So from the rest of us, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for everyone who supports the channel. And I'm stalling while I try and find the right button. There it is. See you later.
Later, guys.
Round the fire warm and bright, stocked up food for the night. Got our plans set in gold for the days when it's cold. Tools and gear stacked up high in the cabin we reside, listening to the winds howl, prepping for the morning's prowl. At the Preppers Fireside we stay, ready for that fateful day. Stories shared and hearts alight, round the fire every night.